I did a few modifications. They're not crazy modifications, but still. I feel like I'm wearing oven gloves. Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mathilde, I'm a French knitter, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back, I really appreciate it. Today I'm filming another podcast episode, and as you can tell, I'm going to be talking about a finished object, which is very exciting. Then I'm going to share some updates on 2 whips, and finally I'll show you a new cast on and a tiny bit of acquisition, and I guess a global update on my knitting life if you haven't caught up with my latest videos. So let's start with what I'm wearing, which is very excitingly my first finished object of 2026. It's one that I hoped to finish in 2025, but I mean, this is quite a time-consuming knit. It was a very pleasant knit. I'm so happy with it. But let's talk about my Harriet Sweater by Lene. So this is a project that I cast on, I want to say in November of 2025, so not too long ago. I was hoping to have this done for Christmas, for it to be my Christmas sweater. I love that it's not overly Christmassy, but also it's kind of like wintry. It's perfect for the weather we have today because it isn't snowing. It was snowing yesterday, but there's so much snow on the ground. It's beautiful. So I actually really need to go and take some pictures outside. I'll do that afterwards. But yes, anyways, this was supposed to be my Christmas sweater. I ended up not having that much time to knit on this project, so I spent more time knitting on the gift knits. But I have finally managed to finish it. I say finally, not that I was like in a rush to finish it, but I was just so excited to wear it. I love the color choice that I made, I love the fit. So let's talk about all of that. If you're new here, I knit this in Knitting for Olive Merino and Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Bordeaux for the main color and Cream for the contrast color. And Merino by Knitting for Olive is 100% extra fine merino wool, and it's 250 meters for 50 grams. And the Soft Silk Mohair is 70% kid mohair, 30% cruelty-free silk, and I think it's 225 meters for 25 grams, if I can find that on the ball band. Yes. And as you can see, I've got a bit left over, so I've got a skein of each full skein left over, and this is how much I've got left of the Bordeaux. So I kind of used each skein to, I think, finish a sleeve, like to start a sleeve. I wanted to use a full skein rather than use one, like to have less ends to weave in. So I'm not sure exactly how much I've got left, but a bit less than full skeins. And for the contrast color, I only used one skein of each, and this is how much I've got left of each, so not a whole lot there either. I'm really happy that I managed to not use my other skein of the merino because I already know what I want to use this for, and I needed it in that dye lot, so I'm kind of glad that that worked out. But this is my Harriet sweater. I knitted it in the needle size recommended, so 4mm for the main color, and then for the colorwork part I went up to 4.5mm needles to account for my gauge being tighter in colorwork, which is usual. It's what's mentioned in the pattern as well. But even though I used the same needle size, my gauge was tighter. I didn't want to go up in needle size because I didn't love the fabric of that, so I ended up choosing a size up from what I would have done otherwise. So I knitted the size medium, which ended up giving me about the amount of positives that I wanted. I haven't checked exactly what I've got, but I didn't want over 30 centimeters of positives, or at least I didn't want the full 40 centimeters of positives that this pattern recommends. So I'll put on the screen how much exactly the circumference is, but you can see that it bloomed really well in blocking. I was a little bit worried about the sleeves being too tight, but they ended up really being quite a good size. I think I wouldn't have minded them being wider because I love a wide sleeves, but I still love how they ended up looking. And the bottom of the sleeve is when you do some decreases, you don't do any decreases for the top part of the sleeve in the color work, but it's like you can't really even tell that there are decreases because the fabric is quite loose, and I don't know, it bloomed really well, but I really like that, so I'm happy with that. I did a mid-project block. I mean, it was more of like a 3/4 of the way through block because I had finished the color work on one sleeve and I was worried that it was going to be too tight. So I blocked it and I had finished the body by then and did the color as well. And so I just wanted to check that the sleeve would grow a bit in circumference, and it did, so that really reassured me. And this yarn bloomed so much. It's incredibly soft. It's really, really amazing. I really love the drape that it has. I've used it before, but I feel like for some reason, maybe because one time I've used it was for a textured knit, so I couldn't really see how softened or how soft it got. And the other project I've got, I hadn't actually blocked it, and now I'm thinking I really need to block it because I still need to fix one thing on that, and that's why I haven't blocked it, but I do need to do that. Anyways, the yarn softens up so much, and I'm really glad that there was no color bleeding because, you know, it's color work and the contrast color is white. I was a little bit worried when I put it in the water, but no color bleeding at all. It's amazing. I'm so happy with it. I think it's a great first project to have for, or like to start the year off with. Yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. So let's talk about the pattern or the project cost. I bought 5 skeins of the Merino and 5 skeins of the soft silk mohair in Bordeaux. And one, I will mention only what I ended up using. So I bought 6 in totals, but I only ended up using 5. And I bought 2 of each in the cream, but only ended up using 1. So I'm only counting 6 skeins of each base, yarn base. So 6 skeins of Merino, 6 skeins of the soft silk mohair. That means the yarn in total cost me 106.56 euros. And the pattern cost on top of that was 6.98 euros, and so the total project cost was 113.54 euros or something around that. Maybe the cents aren't right, but you know what I mean. So I think that's pretty good for a knitting for olive, or like a project made with knitting for olive yarn. I'm really happy with that, and as I said, I absolutely love this yarn combination. I would happily make or use it again, and I'm very happy that I've got enough. I might end up using this as a contrast color in a colorwork project, because obviously I think having a little bit over 1 skein should be enough for whichever colorwork project I end up choosing next. This might be a good choice for a project that I might knit for my sister at the end of the year, but we'll talk about that when I've talked to my sister about it. But yeah, that might be good. It took me 68 days to knit. So as I said, I think I started in November. Didn't knit on it full on during end of November, early December, but then it was pretty much my focus knit, and that's why it's finished. I really enjoyed this project, and also there aren't that many floats. I think the only floats that you have are for this colorwork motif. So that's only 1 out of 4 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's only 1 motif out of 8 that's a bit more involved, just so you know. Oh, also one modification that I made was the color. As you can see, I did a folded down color. So what I did was just pick up the right amount of stitches. I just knitted 1 by 1 ribbing without doing that fold that you can do in the middle, and then I just, once I reached a certain amount of centimeter that I was happy with, I just folded it down and tucked it down as you usually do with a folded color. And I think it looks quite good. And one last thing that I did do as well that I've been doing lately, also the ribbing on the sleeves. Oh no, okay. I did a few modifications. They're not crazy modifications, but still. I shortened the amount of stockinette before the ribbing, like between the colorwork and the ribbing portion of the body. I shortened it quite a bit. The pattern asks you to knit I think 17 centimeters between the colorwork and the ribbing. If I had done that, I would have made for a very, very long sweater on me because I'm quite short, and that just wasn't the look I was looking for. That wasn't what I loved in the pattern pictures. I really liked normal length sweater. So that's one modification I did, and the other one was to shorten the ribbing on the sleeves, because the sleeves were already getting a bit long when I started the ribbing. And so like I think I did the number of decreases that are meant to be done in the sleeve for my size. Then I did 10 rounds, continued knitting but without decreases, and then I did the ribbing. And yeah, I really like that it's a bit shorter. I don't know why I love that look. And then lastly, I did something in this sweater that I had done a couple of times in some sweaters, but not for like all of the ribbing. And so what I did was for each, so the sleeve, the body and the collar, I turned my work on the first round of the ribbing, of the 1x1 ribbing, so that I could knit from the inside out. And I think that means, at least to me, the ribbing looks so much neater that way. So hopefully you can see. This is on the body and this is inside. And so this would have been on the outside. I'm sorry, the camera is blowing out a bit, but this should have been on the outside, but because I turned my work, this neat ribbing is on the outside. And I think that looks much better, so I'm very happy with that. And that's it for the modifications. I will have a project vlog coming out next week, so I hope, even though I've talked to you about this one in podcasts in length, I hope you will still watch this, and I hope you enjoy. So be on the lookout for that next week. But let's move on to my whips, and the first one I'll be talking about is one that uses similar colors, because these are my Kitten catch mittens. So I'll briefly mention them because I've done quite a bit of progress, but you've already seen me talk about this one. This is a pattern by Florence Miller. It's a colorwork, as you can see, mitten, and this is where I'm at on the second one, so I'm almost there. I'm hoping to finish it in the next couple of days, so I can finally use them. It's been so cold here, so I've been really looking forward to having them. I also still need to fix this, but as I said before, I'll do that when I've finished this. And yeah, so I've just started doing the decreases. I need to switch to magic loop actually. I'm loving this project. I think I'm excited. Oh, they look so good. I haven't seen them, I haven't looked at them next to each other, but they're gonna be so pretty. And the yarn I'm using for this is Knitting for Live Soft Silk Mohair in the colorway Cream, which is my favorite color, held with Le Petit Lambswool by Biches in the colorway Ecru for the main color. And for the contrast color, I'm using Le Petit Lambswool by Biches in the colorway Bordeaux, held with Isager Silk Mohair in the colorway 36. The Isager was left over from a sponsored test knit, so this was gifted, and the Le Petit Lambswool, both of them, were also gifted, but they were I won them in a giveaway. It wasn't gifted because of this channel, but I still didn't pay for them. But we'll talk about the cost of this project once I finish them in the next podcast, hopefully. And I'm also very excited to block them. I think the size right now is pretty good, but I feel like they can feel a little bit tight, even though I've got plenty of room, so I'm not sure why I have that feeling, but hopefully blocking will make them a little bit nicer to put on. I feel like I'm wearing oven gloves because I'm not used to having colorwork mittens. These are my first pair, but yeah, anyways. Also, I had put the stitches for the thumb on hold and I was doing the first round and I had completely messed that up, but didn't realize until a couple of rounds later, so I had to undo all of that and go back a couple of rounds, which is a little bit frustrating, but that's okay. I really wanted these to be as perfect as possible, considering I'm starting to get really warm, so we'll see how long I can keep this on. Because even though it's -10 outside, inside it's like 25 degrees. Because it's a weird house. Anyway, so these are my Kitten Catch mittens. I won't bore you with them anymore because next podcast they will be finished and we can talk about them more deeply. Okay, let's move on to my next whip. This is my Elisabeth Blouse by Petite, and I have made quite a bit of progress now. I think I filmed the last time was back from my holidays, so but I knitted quite a bit during my holidays, and then it's just a mindless stockinette, so it's really easy for me to pick up and knit, so that's good. And also it's one that I can bring in the car with me to knit on when we have a 30-minute drive to go do the grocery shopping. And usually my partner is driving. I do have to drive more, but because it's been snowing, that's a very good excuse for me not to drive, because I'm not comfortable yet driving in the snow. Anyways, I'm using Classic by Cardiff Cashmere in the colorway Nero, which is a really dark black, which is what I wanted for this project. And I have finished the body, which you can't really see anything because it's black, but I've also started the first sleeve, so that's pretty good. I will put in a clip of me trying it on afterwards so you can see. And I did the same trick as I did for this sweater, which was for the ribbing to turn my work inside out to do the 1x1 ribbing. So again, I think that looks really neat. Really don't know how much you're going to be able to see that, but hopefully you can see. And I think I kind of messed up the Italian bind off, because when I picked it back up, I couldn't remember if I had finished the 2 rows of double knitting or if I had just done one. And I thought I had still one left to do, so I started doing the 2nd row of double knitting. And midway through, I realized that because I had like put my project on hold or like aside with the how can I say that? Because as you can see, I've got my needle stoppers, right? And I always usually knit 1 stitch past my beginning of round marker. And so that's usually how I do it. And because when I picked it back up and did that 2nd row of double knitting, I hadn't done that. I think I had actually finished the 2 rows of double knitting. So I think I did 1 row more than I should have. So I think it looks a tiny bit weirder than usual, but it looks fine too. So if you can't see anything, I think that's fine. So yeah, I'm so excited to have this, and because it's so mindless, I'm hoping to have this finished sort of soon, just because I really want to cast on another stockinette project, but I can't really justify it when I have this still on the needles. But I might as well, like, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to finish this. I don't know. We'll see. I might put this aside for a couple of weeks, just because this is going to be more of a spring knit anyway, like a spring summer thing that I can wear. I don't have to finish it right now, so we'll see what I end up doing. This yarn is amazing. It's 100% cashmere. I purchased this myself, but I absolutely love using it. It is incredibly soft. It feels so nice to knit with. Like, I think I used it before, but for a 1x1 twisted rib, and that was a little bit annoying. But for a simple stockinette project, it's really, really good. Even for the 1x1 ribbing, that was fine. So I think I just didn't love the twisted rib, which who does? Who does? Tell me if you do. So I'm going through this quite quickly, but just because I don't have that much to say, I realize now. Sorry. So that's my Elisabeth Blouse. Oh, also I've got 3 full skeins left over, and this much, so I think I'm gonna end up using about all of them, because I think I'm gonna use like a bit less than 2 skeins per sleeve. But we'll see. Okay, lastly, let's talk about a new cast on, which I've mentioned I've cast on but haven't shown it yet on the podcast. Apologies, I don't have a full skein still wound up, but I'm going to be talking about my Dagmar sweater, which is a pattern by Petite. I'm so excited for this. So I'm using Yelholt Old Spendery Yelholt Triple in the colorway Charcoal, which is 44. And this is a mix of Gotland and Merino wool. Don't know the exact percentages because it's not written on the label, but it is 165 meters per 100 grams, and it's quite a rustic yarn. I didn't notice any kind of softening up of the yarn when I blocked my swatch, but maybe also I don't know, leave it enough in the water or something, we'll see. But this is where I'm at. So I have finished the back increases and I'm just knitting on the back panel now, flat, and I need to reach a certain amount of centimeter before I move on to the front panels. But I'm really loving how it's looking so far. I've noticed that I've made a tiny mistake in one of the small cables on the side here. Again, this is a dark yarn. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. I promise I'm going to be casting on some light, brighter colors soon so that you can see the projects better. But where was my mistake? See, I even have a hard time finding it again. Here I twisted my cable in the wrong side, and I did the same thing on the opposite side, but I think it's fine. It's not too noticeable. So I'm really loving the honeycomb like pattern. That's the name, right? Honeycomb cable. I didn't think I would. I don't know why I had that thinking, but I really didn't think I would. But it's really enjoyable to knit. And also what's great about this project is that I'm holding the yarn single, so I can cable without a cable needle. Previously, for I think all of my cable projects, I used a mohair with another yarn, and so I didn't feel comfortable or confident enough to cable without the cable needle. But for this one, it's not as scary, so that's what I'm doing, and I think that really helps kind of make me go a little bit quicker. Yeah, I don't know, I'm really excited about this project. It's on my Make 9 list, so I'm excited to have this going. I don't know how fast of a project this is going to be. I think this is going to be quite a slow one, which is also why I think my other projects, like that I was going to cast on this winter, was the sweater number 15, which is another cable project, even though it's a bit more mindless than this one. I think I might push this aside a tiny bit and cast on another stockinette project once I finish the Elisabeth Blouse, just so that I have one stockinette project, one cable project, but not any more than that. And if you're also wanting to cast this on, or if you've cast it on already, or any of the Dagmar patterns by Petit Knit, you can join an Instagram group chat that I've started, and I'll leave the link either in the description, or if I forget, it'll be on a story up in my like highlights on Instagram, so that you can join and chat with anyone else who's knitting on this project at the same time, because I think that's really nice. It's like a really chill cal just to have to chat about it. There's no prizes or anything. And finally, kind of talking about that other stockinette project I'm thinking of, I have received my latest yarn order, and I think that's going to be my last one for a while. So I got the Sunday Fibre Co's Sur Silk in the colorway Natural Wonder from her 70th issue, and it's this really quite, I think it's undyed actually, Surrey lace. So it's 65% baby Surrey alpaca, 35% silk. It's 320 meters per 50 grams, and I've got 5 skeins, I think. I talked a little bit about it in my Make 9 video, so I'll put that up there if you haven't watched it. And I have swatched with this. So there was a video coming out this week as well. I decided to post it earlier this week about swatching with these 2 yarns for an upcoming project. This is Cumbria Fingering by the Fibre Company in the colorway Blencathra. And I think I just saw that they are closing down, the Fibre Company, so that's kind of sad. That makes it even more bittersweet to cast on. But this is 90% wool, 10% mohair, and it's 300 meters per 100 gram. I think I've got 4 skeins, and I want to use these to make a zipper sweater light man, but for me, that's just because that's the pattern I've got. I don't want to buy another one, which is probably going to be about the same. And so I absolutely love the fabric that this created. I love the color, the little bit of marling that it has. I think this will be absolutely perfect. So I think that might be, maybe, I'm not sure, I might have another project I'm gonna cast on first, another mindless stockinette project, but I do love the fabric and it's so soft and it's gonna be amazing. So I just wanted to talk about that because I got this yarn quite recently, but yeah. If you're curious about any other swatch that I made last weekend, you can go watch this video that I'm gonna put up there. But I think that's gonna be it for today. Again, I think that went by quite quickly. I apologize if it was too quick, but because I'm doing these updates every couple of weeks, there's not necessarily that much progress going on. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with this project. I hope you love the look of it. And if you're wanting to know, again, a little bit more about it, I'll have the vlog coming out next week. Let me know what you've been knitting on. As always, I always love to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.